Rationalism, the fifth pillar. The fifth pillar of Greek wisdom is rationalism. Rationalism means the use of reason. Unlike rationalization, which uses reason to explain away behavior, rationalism employs uncompromising logic to discover the truth. To the ancient Greeks, rationalism was the primary means of gaining self-knowledge. Rather than waiting for enlightenment to come from divine revelation, the Greeks turned to an illuminating instrument closer at hand, the power of human intelligence. The Dark Labyrinth, an ancient story of love and reason, took place on Crete, the largest of the Greek isles. Crete's most feared king was Minos. Minos's troubles began when his wife, Pasiphae, fell in love with someone else, but it was no ordinary human being she created. Instead, it was a mighty bull, desiring to entice the bull to satisfy her lust. Pasiphae turned for help to Daedalus, the master craftsman of the palace. Though he feared the consequences of her unnatural passion, Daedalus obediently compiled and invented a means by which she might fulfill her longing. With timber and hide he constructed a replica of a cow, and placing it in a meadow, told Pasiphae to position herself inside. The two indeed made a woman and bull just as Pasiphae had desired, and from the mating the queen became pregnant and gave birth. The progeny she bore, however, was no ordinary child. It had the body of a baby boy and the head of a bull calf. When King Minos saw it he was horrified, but could not bear to slay the creature, fearing that it might represent some omen of the gods. He let it live, but he ordered it hidden from the light of day so that no one else might see it. Summoning Daedalus, he commanded him to design a special prison from which no one could ever escape. However, the prison must have neither locks nor bars. Daedalus accomplished this by designing an ingenious maze. So intricate was the pattern of its passageways, that once a man entered it, he could never again trace his way back out. Being drawn instead and inexorably tower its center, the maze was called the Labyrinth. The man-bull, in time, grew to full stature, and was named the Minotaur, named for King Minos and the Greek word for bull. Minos had other children, human children, and among them a fine son. When the son was grown to manhood, he was sent on a mission to the Greek mainland, to the city of Athens. But while he was there he was killed. The Athenians said his death was an accident. Others said that the killing was a deliberate assassination. Minos believed the worst and determined to exact vengeance upon the Athenians, and his power was great enough for him to do exactly that, because he was the master of a maritime empire. By his decree, every year 7 young men, and 7 young women, the finest flowers of Athenian youth, had to be sent on a ship to the royal Cretan city of Knossos. There they would be led through the entrance to the labyrinth. Slowly the findings of the maze would draw them in toward its center, where the Minotaur, and death waited. For many years the deadly ritual was reenacted, but one year a prince of Athens named Theseus resolved to end the executions. He begged his father to let him go, as one of the chosen youths. Theseus believed he was brave to let him go as one of the chosen youths. Theseus believed he was heaven strong enough to kill the monster and thus free his people from their death sentence. Theseus's father finally relented and let his son go. It was the custom in Crete, before the Athenian hostages were led into the maze, to present them to Minos, who explained to them the heinous crime for which their lives would serve as expiation. On the day Theseus was brought to the throne room, it so happened that Minos's lovely daughter Ariadne was there. Where her eyes beheld Theseus's godlike form, she instantly fell in love with him. But she also knew he would surely die once he was led into the labyrinth. Remembering that Daedalus had designed the labyrinth, Ariadne went to him to appeal for mercy and advice on how she might save the life of the young man she loved. Daedalus felt compassion for the young princess, but he feared what would happen should King Minos learn he had given aid to a hostage. Ariadne, Daedalus told her, if the young man you love is hero enough he will be able to slay the monster. Destiny will have its way, but if he does succeed, let me give you the means by which he may save his life. For even with the monster dead, he will be doomed to die as the labyrinth's prisoner. Take a spool of thread, and secretly slip it to the young man you love. Whisper to him to tie it to the labyrinth's door as he enters, and then let it out bit by bit as he walks through the darkness. If he kills the monster, he can then follow the path of the thread back to its beginning and freedom. Ariadne did as she had been told, giving the spool of thread to her young prince and passing on Daedalus's instructions. Theseus lived up to her hopes. Once inside the labyrinth, he did as she had advised, tying the thread to the door and letting it slowly unwind as moved down the corridors to where the Minotaur waited. They met in the darkness. Neither Theseus nor the monster knew what the other was like, except that he was his enemy and was strong and must be slain. Theseus grabbed what seemed to be the horns of the beast and twisted them, with all his muscles straining, to snap the monster's neck, and all the while the Minotaur fought back. struggling to gouge his human foe. The labyrinth echoed with the bellowing and heart breathing of the struggle. And then, with a snap and final groan, it was over and the monster lay dead. On his hands and knees, Theseus found the spool on the floor and, standing upright, followed with his fingers as the thread led him and his companions back through the dark corridors. When he reached the entrance, Ariadne was there where she had waited, praying for his safe return. Leading his Athenian comrades with him and taking Ariadne by the hand, Theseus found his ship and set sail for Athens. When news of the escape and the Minotaur's death reached Minos, the king was enraged and screamed out that Daedalus be brought to him, believing that only the man who had designed the maze could have given away its secret to others. Daedalus and his Soichorus were arrested. Only later did Minos discover that the daughter too was gone, but it was too late. The ship was already carrying Ariadne and her lover away. Now that the Minotaur is dead, the labyrinth is empty, and ship that bore Theseus and Ariadne across the sea is gone. Are there no more mazes to solve, or monsters to slay? No more triumphs over darkness to celebrate? Observe the ingenuity of Daedalus's original design. The way into the labyrinth is easy. All can find the path. It is the coming out once we have entered that is hard. It is in the nature of a maze to let us to its center, the like life itself that draws us if we let it ever inward. And finally, when the maze of life has worked its will upon us, we meet the monster. Who then is this creature, half human, half beast? Who is it, then, if not all the power of our being, as whole man grapples with half man, to see who will triumph? To be sure, we can refuse the battle, and condemn ourselves to wander forever through passageways leading nowhere. Yet if life is forgiving, it will bring us to the heart of the labyrinth and give us the chance to be brave. To escape, however, courage alone will not be enough, nor confidence, nor daring. Once our enemy is defeated, we will still need to find our way out of the maze. We will need reason to help us, a thread from Ariadne, bestowed upon us long before we knew what it meant, tied to the door we entered before we understood its value. It is reason that can finally let us out of the dark labyrinth into the light. What parts of this story is an emotional event, and what events were developed from reason? Have you escaped any labyrinth in your life?